Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too, as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, and live the life we love. Sometimes it's hard to accept the fact that we live in a vibrational universe which matches us by the law of attraction, because when negative things happen to us, our conscious mind would say, well, I didn't want that to happen. And yet, what we think and we feel somehow is a vibrational match to what we get. So if we're going to thrive, we have to remember to detach from everything that doesn't feel good, which of course is impossible in some way, but we don't have to indulge ourselves in what doesn't feel good. Because I do everything and anything I can to make myself feel good, because I've learned that the happier I am, the better things go. I tried not thriving and it didn't work. So what I've learned is my own opinion of myself is probably the most important thing that there is. I try to use all setbacks as stepping stones instead of stumbling blocks. They're just merely detours on the road to deeper satisfaction and success. I mime masterminds to see how they think, what they do, how they act, how they live. And I build relationships on trust because I make others feel valued, recognized, and respected, and they mirror that back to me. I've learned that the quality of my life has to do with what I call living in prime time rather than watching prime time TV. And that quality is my enjoyment of my time instead of worrying about my standard of living, which you can have a great standard of living and still not enjoy your life. So I hope you don't make that mistake. Now, temperament is innate. It's hardwired into our DNA, but it's not our destiny. Yes, we have tendencies whose expression is shaped by our own intelligence, and we can be more warm-hearted, more intentional, more conscious, but it has to fit in with the right environment. It's hard to function your best in the wrong environment. I often say a willow tree planted by the river probably has a 100% chance of actualization. Planted by the desert, not so much. So, do you know what the strengths of your temperament are and what's the best environment for you to flow? Right? You got to appreciate your sense of strength and endurance. But remember, if you're a square peg, you'll never get in the round hole. Have some humor about that. Now, fundamental layers were laid down in childhood when our brain was most impressionable, and we tend to carry that with us wherever we go. It's called experience-dependent neuroplasticity. It stamped us in a certain way, marked us in a certain way, and it can be changed when you hear me say, train your mind and change your brain. So it continually influences your mood and your expectations, your self-worth, your reactions, the core of who you are. And that's why I've always taught the importance of looking at the inner child, especially if you were embarrassed, ashamed, criticized, controlled, squelched, pushed. Anger was directed at you. You got to gently learn to nourish your inner child to bring it back. Because if you shelved your big dreams, you still can have a real chance today to be strong, wise, loving, a friend to yourself, a coach to yourself, and yes, even a good parent if you didn't have one. So the vulnerable child inside ourselves fears rejection. It's afraid to come out and show you its teary, sniffly, snotty, whiny, needy, frightened, or even angry face. So please don't push away your own inner child. It wants to show itself, but it's afraid to. You got to make it safe for it to show itself. So look for ways to bring your inner child out and play. I'm always talking about the Leela, the dance of life, play. That means you have to stop being so quiet, so serious or significant. Self-importance, as Don Juan says, is not really good. And so don't overreact to stuff. When we say don't take it personally, right? Especially when nothing happens. Some people react negatively even to positive things, like when they're complimented, or they downplay their successes when people try to tell them that they see they're good. That's called bleeding from self-inflicted wounds. So I understand pain is the price of living, awareness hurts, conflict is the beginning of consciousness, but because there's a negative bias in our brain that narrows down and focuses on what's wrong to try to keep you alive by avoiding that, but you got to nudge it to widen it so you can see what's right. So remember, friends, although pain is inevitable, suffering is optional.